Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I'm back again with the last and final session of today, which is on online assessment. First, let me show you the presentation outline today. First, I'm going to discuss about some of the feedbacks that I have received from mock classes. I have already discussed this in the third session. I'm just going to pick up some of those comments which are relevant to assessment now. Then I'm going to set the background by differentiating between face-to-face teaching and also online one, and discuss the differences with regard to the assessment. Also, I'm going to then discuss about the whole assessment process, and then I will link it with the learning outcome. And in between those, I'm going to also discuss about Bloom's taxonomy. And then we will see different types of assessment, especially those are applicable for the online environment. We'll see their merits, demerits, and how to fine tune it for the online environment. Then I will discuss about plagiarism and cheating, how to deal with it, how to minimize it, and finally I will have some concluding remarks. Well, let me begin. First, the feedbacks that I have received from mock classes from you all can be categorized broadly into three categories. One is about having some uniform policies within the school, within the department with regard to the assessment. Some of you have discussed about how to have some common policy, technique, and understanding for taking quizzes, assignments, presentations, and also discussion about midterm and the final exam. Also, some of you have talked about arranging demo exams. I think you have seen a little bit about this conducting demo exam in the session conducted by CITS in the morning. However, here we'll be discussing mainly about the conceptual background on the assessment techniques. So let me start. First of all, we got to assess that what is the difference in assessment in a face-to-face environment and in an online setup. First, we got to keep in mind that the entire background and setting is different. In a face-to-face environment, students during the delivery and also during the exam are sitting in front of us. But here in online environment, the situation is entirely different. Students are sitting in a very remote places, and sometimes it may happen that students are sitting even outside Dhaka. This again brings this issue of connectivity. During my mock classes, I have seen that some of the students are using mobile data, some of the students are using a smartphone. So we got to keep in mind also this, that there might be connectivity issue, and in between the assessment or exam also there might be loss of power, both from the faculty's end and also from the students' end. Also, we got to keep in mind that our delivery technique was different. In case of face-to-face, students were sitting in front of us and we had a certain way of delivering things. Now, in case of online environment, during the delivery, also it was different. So we got to also keep this in mind while designing our assessment techniques. And based on that, we'll be framing our assessment techniques. And then also we got to keep in mind that what we are trying to achieve here. Are we trying to increase the knowledge base of students, or we are giving them certain sets of skill? In an online assessment, we should be more tilted towards developing the soft skill of the student, which will help them to make employable. And we got to strike a balance between knowledge and this skill development. Next, about the assessment process. Many of you have heard about OBE, outcome-based education. UGC has already sent us the manual to change and fine-tune our curriculum, syllabus, everything according to the OBE. Gradually, we'll have to move towards that one. Under OBE, we will set our learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are set of those skills that we want our students to have after completion of this particular program. So that's why by having those learning outcomes in mind, we got to adjust our online teaching environment and adjust our online assessment. Based on that one, we'll have to design our assessment techniques. We need to fine tune our assessment techniques accordingly. Then we'll have to conduct assessment, and after conducting assessment, whatever results we get, we need to analyze it, and based on this analysis and experience, we'll have to again sit on the drawing board, and we need to improve our or change our learning outcome, and this cycle will continue. Now, from now on, I'm going to show you some example of course syllabus that we are following at IUB. This is one of my courses, Finance 201, Introduction to Finance. This is a course outline that I have prepared long ago in spring 2019. So from here, I'm going to link the course syllabus with learning outcome, course learning outcome, Bloom taxonomy, and assessment type. First, let me show you the learning outcome that we have set for this particular program. Mean those of who would be majoring from School of Business and Entrepreneurship, having a major of finance and taking a BBA degree, we want them to have this set of skill. They should be able to identify and classify financial information and interpret financial statement. They should be able to manage financing and investment decision of a particular firm. They should be able to apply best investment strategies for making investment decisions, and also they should be able to strike a balance trade-off between risk and return. And also we want them to be an ethical person. They should learn to practice ethics in financial decision making process. These are set of learning outcomes and skills that we have set for BBA graduates majoring in finance. From this one, we have linked learning objective for this particular course, and you can see the arrows. This is how we will be addressing this issue on this particular course. So you see, we will be covering 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is how we are linking with this particular course. Once we have done that, I will go to the second page of my course syllabus. You will see in the second page, if you see, I take session second, which is introductory chapter. Here I have shown how this particular chapter of mine is linked with this program learning outcome, this one, and how again this one is related with the course learning outcome. Here you can see. So each and every topic in this way I will be relating. Okay, chapter 1, how this is related with PLO, how this is related with CLO, and I will show it here and map it here. And then I will have to do another thing. I will have to align it with the Bloom taxonomy. Now, many of you know about this Bloom taxonomy. It shows different levels of cognitive levels of student, and it has 6 levels. It starts from the bottom of the pyramid, which is knowledge, which is test the student ability to recall. Then we move to comprehension, which is the ability of the student to interpret. Then we move to the application, which shows the ability of the student to apply, then to analyze, then to synthesize, and finally to create and make judgment. So you can see that here I am writing that a particular chapter will help you to achieve which level or domain of the Bloom's taxonomy, and accordingly I will write in each chapter which one I am trying to achieve, which one would be achieving, and I will be covering 3 things: PLO, CLO, and Bloom's taxonomy. Now, in the next part, let us see what was our mark distribution in the face-to-face traditional environment. This is again you are seeing the mark distribution for the Finance 201. Well, we used to assign 5% for class attendance and participation. We used to have 4 quizzes carrying a weight of 10%. We used to have assignment, homework, and projects carrying 15%. This was a comprehensive one. And we used to have 30% weight for midterm and 40% weight for final exam. So you can see we were heavily dependent on midterm and final exam, carrying 70% of the weight. Now in the next slide, you will see how you will change it, and fine tune it for the online environment. First again, let me get back to the Bloom taxonomy cognitive level, and you can see the first three levels can be tested, can be assessed mainly by quizzes, which are, all of you know, multiple choice quizzes, true false, fill in the blanks, matching questions. Also you can give short question, and in this online environment you can have some additional thing which is called discussion board and chat that I'm going to discuss in the next slide. And in order to test the upper three levels, you can go for essays, numeric decision making question, projects, case studies, presentation, and in other mathematical subjects you can have game, or in the lab environment you can add virtual lab, and also you can add viva. I'm going to elaborate each one of these in details. Now also we can classify these assessments into two categories. We can call them formative and summative. Let us see. Many of you know formative assessment test the ability of the student to learn the course outcome, the course material, and this is you will be doing during the course. And during the formative assessment time you will get enough opportunity to repair any damages or lackings among the student. And in order to do that, you will be taking different quizzes like multiple choice questions, true false, fill in the blanks, or matching. And of course you will be adding in the online environment like discussion board and chat. So these formative assessment which are done during the running of the course help you to achieve this cognitive level test, Bloom taxonomy's cognitive level of ability to recall, interpret, and apply. On the other hand, summative assessment is done primarily at the end or in between in order to assign grades. You can't repair the damage now. This is to draw conclusions. And the assessment techniques that you can apply in order to do that is assess. It can be short, broad, or analytical. You can have numeric decision making questions. You can have calculated numeric. You can have fill in the blank number for quantitative subjects. You can have projects, assignments, and case study, and also presentations and viva. So this is how you can again reclassify this assessment techniques according to formative and summative assessment. Moving on, in the next slide, here I am bringing all this concept together. Under online environment, we can have our mark distribution rearranged in such a way. You can see that I am trying here to adjust to the online environment, and you see the left hand side is telling about lesser adjustment to online environment, and the right hand side is telling about more adjustment to the online environment. So some of you, many of you have raised question and queries during the mock session question that how to ensure the students are attending classes, how to ensure that the students are interacting. So you can increase this percentage for attendance and class participation from 5% to 10%. Also, you should be heavily relying on quizzes, because some of you said that there should be break, and after the break, if you want to ensure that the students are recalling and understanding things, you can have a pop-up quiz or other quizzes in order to make sure they can recall. So you can have many quizzes, 6 to 12, I don't know, based on the discipline you can change it and increase weight from 50 to 20. Also a viva component. If you remember, in our previous code outline marks distribution, we didn't have any viva, but we have included viva here. Why? Because you will see later on midterm and final exam, during the online assessment, we will have lesser control. So in order to make sure whatever grades these students are getting in midterm and final exam are solely their performance, we should be incorporating vivas and interviews to make sure that they can defend their grade. Also, we can include assignment, homework and projects. We can have a weightage of like this one, and finally there will be midterm and final exam. So you see, our suggestion is that assessment techniques like midterm and final exam, where you have lesser control, the weightage should not be more than 50%. It should be kept 50% or below, and you should be having more emphasis on this formative assessment to test their recall, interpret and applying ability. And you should little bit rely more on this summative assessment techniques to test their higher order skill or higher order cognitive levels. So this is a suggested one. Either way you can go. This is a band. If you go on the left hand side, still it will be 100. If you go on the right hand side, it still will be 100. But this right hand side has more reliance, less reliance and less weightage on midterm and final exam. All right. So let us now move to different types of assessment. The assessment techniques now I'm going to show, all of you know about it, but however I'm just showing their advantages and tips. What are the things we should do and what are the things we shouldn't do, and also the frequency of this assessment. First of all of you know about this multiple choice questions. It gives choices. So under Google Classroom you will be able to take these multiple choices, and it will help you to grade automatically, quick feedback, and also it has the advantage of shuffling not only sections but also choices. So in a particular multiple choice you can add short question, you can add true false, and different students by shuffling will be seeing different section first, and they won't be able to move to the next section without completing the previous section. Also, not only section, you can even shuffle their choices. Suppose a MCQ has 4 choices like USA, Japan, Italy, UK. One student would be saying USA first, another one would be saying Japan first. So you can even shuffle in between the choices. Do's: before setting this multiple choice question, you must set what you are trying to test. Are you testing a student to recall, understand, apply or interpret? You got to set this objective of your testing. Then all of you know you should have a very definite statement to test, clear answer, and you shouldn't be testing their language ability. You should be testing about their knowledge about the subject matter. And also we should be taking care in order to avoid a statement like never, always. We shouldn't do it. And this is a assessment that we should be doing, using it frequently, because many of you have commented about how to keep them on track, how to interact with them, how to ensure their attendance. So you can use this very frequently at the beginning of the class or in the middle of the class. You have total control. You can set the time when to start, and you can automatically stop it. After that, nobody else will be able to submit their quizzes. So you can use this one. And also with multiple choice question comes other choices like true, false, fill in the blank and matching. All of you know very well about these techniques. All I can say is that again you got to set your objective, what you are trying to test. You are testing their recalling ability or you are testing their understanding ability. And again it applies like multiple choice question. You should have a very clear statement, and you shouldn't give clues like grammatical clues like connector like a and d, so that they can't guess. And you should be judicially using them with multiple choice questions, and you can even mix and match them up in a single quizzes. Then another way of testing is that testing them with the short question or short note. These are very good in order to test the knowledge base of the student. Also you can test their expression ability and their concept and application. We should be avoiding direct question. I'll be explaining next what is meant by direct question, and you can mix them up with the other formats. Finally, that usually we don't do, but in online environment we can also open some discussion board or chat board. This is very helpful. You can ask the student or a individual or a group to start or participate a topic, start the discussion. You can also increase their learning base by sharing different materials and links. And some of the things you should be doing, that you should be putting the students in charge, and you should be more playing the role of the facilitator. And after each discussion, try to reach some concessions on a particular issue so that they can agree, they learn to agree. And you should also be careful about unnecessary extension of the discussion. So you should be keeping a track. If you see that a particular topic is dragging too long, you should put at end and start a new topic. And you can continue this discussion throughout the semester. And all of this I have discussed so far falls under formative assessment, and it tests recall, interpret, and applying abilities of the student, and this falls under quizzes. Now next, after having this formative assessment, what are the choices for us for having testing summative assessment, which falls under the upper three cognitive skill levels of Bloom taxonomy, which are the ability of the student to analyze, ability of the student to synthesize and judge and create things. First thing that you can do, one of the things is very good assessment techniques, which is project, assigning project, assignment or case studies. This is a very good assessment technique. All of you know that you can apply the entire course material in solving a practical issue or a problem. Works as a very good summation of the entire course. You can fine tune it and design it in such a way it might cover the entire course syllabus. What are the things that you should be careful is that involve the peers, put student in charge, help them to mentor other students, engage them. You can also encourage the student to disseminate their findings to the society and to the ultimate stakeholder and publish those things. But what are the things that we shouldn't do, that we shouldn't spoon fed them step by step. You will see, I'm sure many of you have experienced that students are constantly asking question, what to do next, what to do next. No, we are not going to answer that one. We will going to develop their capacity in order to solve these problems and go ahead. But we should also keep in mind, we shouldn't be assigning too many assignments, too many case study. Then what will happen? Students will be concentrating more on quantity rather than quality. Then this continues with the project and assignment. We should be having presentation. In online, we can do that. They can present whatever they have prepared in the assignment or the case study, and this will help to improve their communication skill. And we should be giving them written feedback in which area they should be improving. And one thing we should be taking care, we shouldn't be grading them in group, we should be grading them individually. Even if you assign group presentation, we can even grade it individually. And we should keep in mind that student might take this casually. We should be asking them to maintain the dress code even in online, because I don't know about other discipline, especially for business student, this is very important. And this presentation can be one or two. Again, having too many presentation will shift their concentration. Then we can have viva. In the next slide, I will talk about midterm and final exam. And I have mentioned that in midterm and final exam, we will have lesser control on them because they are not physically here. So that's why in order to check their grades and performance, whatever they have done in the midterm and final, we can use this viva. We can test how much of the learning outcome they have actually mastered. We can repair their weaknesses, the things that they didn't do well in midterm and final exam. We should be providing them feedback in areas why they should be improving. Again, we shouldn't be getting them in group. Also, we should ask them to maintain the dress code. Frequency 1 and 2 can be fine. The final one that we are more used to is the midterm and final exam. But we should keep in mind that in midterm and final exam, now in online environment, we have lesser control because our students will be sitting from us far away. So what we can do, we can design a short, broader analytical question, numeric questions, calculating numeric. What we can do, in numeric question, we can give the problem, we can solve the problem and give them blanks so that they will do the problem, solve the problem on paper, and then they will fill up the number. This is one thing. Second, we can do is that we can give them numeric decision making question. They will be giving decision like in finance, whether they will buy, whether they will sell, they will hold, or they will invest. I'm sure in other quantitative discipline you can also arrange in this way so that they will solve the math or the quantitative problem in their paper, and ultimately they will write the answer and give us the analytical decision. You can design it in that way. And merit is that you can throw midterm and final. Here you can check their higher order skill under Bloom's taxonomy. You can check whether they are able to analyze, whether they are able to synthesize, or whether they are able to ultimately create and give decision through these questions. But there are certain things we do. We should be using different sets. We should be asking higher order question that really involve decision making. We'll set the time limit, and we must have a backup plan. What if during the exam, during the midterm and final, some students said that, sir or miss, I have lost my internet connection, I have lost my power. So we should have this backup plan, how to manage these things. And also, like I told, we should be able to validate their performance in midterm and final with viva exam. The certain things we shouldn't do here, we shouldn't be asking direct question here, like such as define, tell us the function, importance, like these things. And also in an online environment, like I'm saying here, we shouldn't be solely or too much dependent on midterm and final exam, because I'm saying again and again, we have lesser control on this type of exam. Well, that's it about different assessment techniques. Now let us move to the next topic about how to deal with plagiarism and cheating. Well, this will be certainly an issue because students are not sitting in front of us now, they are far away, and how to deal with their cheating and how to deal with their plagiarism activities. First of all, like I said in the last slide, we should be avoiding direct question. We shouldn't be asking question like define, what, function, importance, etc. We should be asking higher question like giving one statement, tell them to say whether you agree and disagree and why you don't agree to justify the answer. We can also make sure that we can assign unique question to each student, and we can assign different numbers in the quantitative problems. In one of our finance courses in assignment, what we used to do, the problem is to contain cash flows, and we used to ask each student to put their own ID in one of the cash flows. So in that way, all of their result would be different. And in this way, we can make sure that that particular student solve that particular problem. You can also come up with such innovative ideas to make sure that each student are applying different number. Well, one question may arise that it will be very difficult to check all these problems one by one. You can put some formula in the Excel sheet, and so that where you will just change this cash flow with their ID, and automatically that Excel will calculate the result. So in that way, you can also make it easy to check, assign grades. So I'm sure all of you are smart. You will come with many innovative ideas in order to do this and check this. Another way, Google Classroom will allow you to shuffle. You can very easily randomize your MCQs, short question and true false question. Different student, even sitting in the same class, will be receiving question in different order, and it will be very difficult for them to share their answer. Also, you can time the exam and maintain the strict time limit, and you will have full control when to start the exam and when to end it. Proctoring is very important. During the final and the midterm exam, you can ask the student to keep their camera on, and you can press the recording button, but still connectivity is a challenge. I know, what if a particular student says, I don't have the data to put the camera on, or my internet went away, or my power went away. So you got to keep in mind that you will have to deal with this issue. To check plagiarism, one of the techniques that you can use. You can put your assignment into Authenticate. You know, from IQAC we have purchased this license. I think most of you got the IDs. If you don't have, you can contact with the IQAC team. We'll provide you the IT. You can check your assignments over there. And but while you are doing that, from the department of the school, you should develop some policy. What if you catch them with the similarities? What you do? What is the penalty? And what would be your tolerable limit? 20% similarity, 30%, 40%, or 50%? You got to come up with this policy. Then the most important thing, you must educate and warn your student that look, the beginning of the course, they say that you sign one statement or type one statement that you won't be doing these things. This is very important, and this will be in their mind if you do so. And finally, avoid question recycling, because what will happen, you don't know, while you are taking exam, a student can take a screenshot of that particular question paper, and ultimately that you will be sharing. So during the semester is fine, in the next semester you should avoid recycling the questions. Well, finally, to stop or reduce plagiarism and cheating, we can say that you should promote trust between the faculty and the students. You can tell your student that even I can respect you. I can respect you for your hard work. I can respect you for your dedication. I can respect you for your tenacity. But if you cheat, no matter how much good student you are, you will lose my respect. Sorry. So we should be promoting and empowering the student so that they become honest, they become dedicated. But this is not a one-way thing. On the other side, we'll also have to show them that we are honest, we are dedicated, we are well prepared for the online system, and we are there to help them. If we can promote this culture of trust in between faculty and student, you'll see a lot of this plagiarism and cheating will be minimized. Finally, the things that I have discussed here are only for suggestion. A lot of you had question about assessment, and we try to share whatever we have learned so far with you. These suggestions, these assessment techniques must be fine-tuned for your department and for you based on your class environment. And if you need our help, you can always contact us in this email address. All right, thank you, and good luck to the forerunners in the education frontier. Thank you so much for your patience.